Hello and welcome back to the Film Whisperers, where two movie nerds talk all things movies with a contemporary lens. My name is Sarge.
And my name is Matt.
So, Matt, we've been talking about Australian cinema, and it's been interesting to have a look at our locally produced movies and kind of think about what's been great and what hasn't been great. So I think now it's time to go into the WTF side of things. And I think in Australian cinema, there's probably quite a lot of WTF movies. Would you agree?
There actually is, funnily enough, and I wonder if we were speaking previously, Sarge. I think you mentioned that a lot of our really great, actors and people in the industry end up moving to Hollywood, and so I wonder if because there's like less pressure on the Australian industry to be like on the same level as Hollywood, there's kind of room for these kind of weird movies to pull through, to cut through. I'm not sure, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of weird ones out there as well.
Yeah. Have you, by any chance, seen some of those 70s Australian movies that actually got Australian cinema into the limelight, like Alvin Purple?
No, I haven't.
Okay, yeah, because I would say that that is a definition of a WTF movie. But anyway, look, let's not go there. Those films are terrible on and a whole other level. But so when we talk about WTF, so for people that don't know, it's just a movie that we watched that surprised us. Let's just say, maybe it was so bad or that it was good, or it was just bad in general, or it was awesome, and we didn't expect it. We wanted it to be terrible, but we actually enjoyed it. So it was just a surprise. So Matt, what would be your WTF movie?
Okay, so for this one, I actually need to set the scene a little bit. So let me just take our viewers back to oh my gosh, when was it? Maybe like 2018 or maybe it was 2017 as well. But The Real Housewives of Sydney had just premiered, so obviously there are Housewives franchises around the world, but Sydney got its own iteration, which I was very excited to watch. And one of the story arcs in that season, so one of the housewives was Melissa Couts, who was like a pop singer back in the 90s. She had one kind of main hit, which was Read My Lips. And she was one of the housewives in this franchise, and one of her story arcs was that she was filming a movie, a horror movie called Bore. And so when I watched Housewives, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to see this movie when it comes out, if it ever comes out, because, a lot of these end up getting shelved. But then, like a year later, lo and behold, Bore, there was a festival happening in Melbourne. The premiere movie was Bore. And so I went along to watch it, which I was very excited to do. And Melissa was there, as was the director and a lot of the cast. And yeah, that would definitely 100% be my WTF movie. So, as you can probably tell from the title, Boar, it's about a pig, but specifically like this really massive killer pig. And really, that is like the extent of the story. It's basically about, I think, a group of friends, maybe I think it's a group of friends end up kind of stumbling upon this like kind of farm where the pig is, and the pig is kind of taking out the people one by one. Melissa, the aforementioned housewife from Real Housewives of Sydney, she plays like the local bartender who actually like, as much as the movie was ridiculous, she actually kind of was not too bad. Like she had some good little like moments where like in the bar there was some guy trying to grope her and she like punches him. I think she has some kind of like fun moments in the movie, but yeah, it's if you yeah, I feel like the synopsis kind of says it all. Like it's about a killer pig. So yeah, that would definitely be my WTF one, which you've seen as well, right, Side?
Yeah, we watched it together, and
Mm,
we sat a row in front of Melissa and the director. I love how you really try to do a positive spin on the movie, Matt. I don't think there's a film whisperers complete without a horror movie of some random genre that where you found from the recycle bin. This to me was an example of bad Australian cinema. I didn't even want to talk about it in the worst movies because I didn't even want to give it any airtime. It's a killer pig. You just got to roll your eyes and go, please just stop. I no, I'm not talking about it anymore. It was just that bad. And yeah, and I hope when you say WTF for you, it's WTF bad, not good. And with Melissa, no comment. I've got nothing to say.
Yeah, so for me, I think it's definitely WTF bad, but also kind of a bit like WTF funny because I feel like I wouldn't watch the movie at home by myself, but watching it like in a cinema with the cast and the crew and with friends, like to kind of laugh at it, I thought it was quite enjoyable. But yeah, the movie itself is definitely bad. How about you, Saj? What would be your WTF movie?
Right. So my movie, I believe it was from the 90s, the late 90s. It's called Head On. Have you
Mm.
seen this?
I know of it, but I actually haven't seen it. No.
Okay. So it's got this actor Alex Dimitriadis. Now I didn't grow up here, so I don't know. I did not know how popular he was until we discussed it at a movie club. And apparently he was the bee's knees in terms of Aussie heartthrob, and this was one of those films where it was completely out of character for him to do. So the storyline is a guy who pretty much goes on a bender, and there are some very interesting scenes that are filmed across different parts of Melbourne. And what I think it's a WTF because it's just outrageous, and some of the things that you see him do, like for example, he has a hookup at the Vic Markets. It's just so weird, so random, and it just doesn't stop for 90 minutes. Um,
Mm.
I would say it's WTF good because in a way, we talk about queer representation in cinema, and here we have this queer representation, and it's just done in a way that would make people feel quite uncomfortable with what you see, and I cannot even begin to imagine what that film would have been like coming out in the 90s.
Mm.
Yeah, so look, I think Alex is really good in it. Also, another reason why I really liked it is because it does dabble into what it's like to be a gay man in a certain communities where homosexuality is not accepted. I cannot remember now. It's been a while since I've seen the film, but I don't believe it's specifically stipulated that he is from a Greek family. But I believe they do talk about, family acceptance in it, and how he feels like there's no way he could come out. So look, it was definitely a WTF movie because the quality of filming is not that good as well. I don't think there's a high quality version of it out there at the moment. What you see is what you get, and again, it's just this bender. It's just this crazy crazy bender. This guy just going nuts. The familiarity is really cool as well. You see some of the Melbourne trams in it, and I don't know about you, Matthew, but I take note of films that haven't that are filmed in Melbourne because you have that familiarity, and there aren't many usually. So yeah, look, I think yeah, that's definitely my WTF.
Just a quick aside, like, is it considered? Because again, I haven't seen it, but is it considered like a classic Australian film, or is it more of like a cult movie? Like, do you know if it's like how big is it? Like, is it one that like a lot of people know about?
No, definitely not. I definitely think it's a cult Australian film. It's not like it's a feel-good Aussie movie like The Castle that has those stereotypical male
Mm.
characters in there. This is very niche, and I don't. A film like that would not get made now. Only if it does. Yeah, it would. I don't think it would still be considered mainstream because we all know Australia has a problem with masculinity and those stereotypes that exist in films. That's what Australians tend to gravitate towards, and yeah, there's no way that this would fit that mold.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Well, that is all the time that we have for today. But thanks for joining us as always on the Film Whisperers. You've been watching Bent TV, and we'll speak to you next time.